The National Cable and Telecommunications Association reports there are more than 5,000 cable systems in the U.S. It estimates 900 cable channels were offered in 2014. Out of all the cable providers, Netflix, an internet television network, boasts the most subscribers. Translation: this isn't your father's TV anymore. The media industry is in a state of flux. In less than a decade, analog television transmissions have given way to over-the-air digital broadcast, cable, and internet streaming. Armed with a computer, a camera, and a microphone, virtually anyone can become a content creator. And the sheer mass of media content, along with the multiple outlets for delivery, would beg the question, is there still a place for traditional television stations? The answer is yes. Television broadcast stations still rank as the prime source people rely on for information, but the battle for eyeballs is intense. Fragmented audiences and an upswing in mobile device use creates the need for especially crafted content delivered through reliable, easy-to-use apps, which is to say that if a television station is going to survive, then those at the top best be in tune with the most innovative of thinking. John Deushane has lived through television's seasons of change. As president and general manager of 11 Alive, he leads the Metro Atlanta NBC affiliate in what is ranked as the 9th largest media market in the country. His journey is today's Executive Profiles.
I'm fascinated by an executive in television who really wanted to be an executive even before they went to college, right?
I wanted to be a disc jockey. I grew up on a farm, and my worldview were the 3 television stations that came over our antenna and listening to radio out of Chicago. The radio thing really grabbed me. I think it was because I loved music. So being a radio disc jockey was the ultimate job.
So what are you doing here?
I was fortunate enough to land a radio job when I was a freshman in college. Quickly realized, though, I did not have the talent nor the gift for that, and had the opportunity to find out about an opening at a television station. Applied, got hired a week later.
Track your career, because you've been in this business really out of college.
Well, I was really fortunate that I started at a television station I ended up managing when I was still a sophomore in college. So someone saw something in me, I suppose, that I certainly didn't see, and they kept saying, we think you would be good here. Let's try you here. And I kept getting moved into different positions, whether that was a producer, director, it was in sales, it was in sales management, and then just after I turned 30 years old, it was, we'd like you to go to another market, someplace you've never been, and be the president and general manager of a television station. Well, how did that happen?
All right, let's go on to President Reagan and coffee.
Ronald Reagan grew up in central Illinois where I was working, and someone had the bright idea, let's go back to the heartland on election eve.
This marks for me the end of nearly 1 full year of campaigning, and I want to use this final opportunity to continue the national conversation we've had in this campaign.
Ronald Reagan is sitting here. George Bush is sitting here. It's going to air at 10 o'clock that night on all 3 networks. No satellite distribution, meaning these 3 tapes we're recording are being put on a jet to go to NBC, ABC, and CBS in New York. And all of a sudden, we had a technical snafu and have to stop everything. Now, my role prior to that point was to get Governor Reagan anything he desired. So I asked him if he'd like a cup of coffee, and he said, no, just warm water. He said, it's an old actor's trick. I have to talk for nearly an hour, and it relaxes the vocal cords. So I get him this cup of water, you know, no problems. And as I'm approaching him, everyone is, what is going on? Told you we never should have come to this blankety-blank podunk town to do this. We should have stayed in New York. Well, it was just going on. And the more they yelled, the more my 22-year-old hand is doing this. And the next thing I know, I've dumped this entire cup of hot water in Ronald Reagan's lap. So at the time, most embarrassing moment in my life, now probably the greatest story I can tell from my career.
Let's talk talent for a minute. You found talent on the set along the way in the form of an anchor, didn't you?
I did. My lovely wife, Kelly. I was in sales and she was in news, so I had to wait till I left the market and took a different role. And then it was a phone call back to the previous market, and
distance made the heart grow fonder.
It did. I did.
And then you really, as you came here, took a traveling job.
I came here as a senior vice president of a publicly traded broadcasting company, and then later became chief operating officer of it, which meant I was now dealing with Wall Street. I was dealing with the earnings calls, and I was sharing space in an office building with 3 other people that was like walking into an insurance company. But I was so far away from broadcasting. I really was. And so 5 years ago, had the opportunity to apply for my second job in this business, and it was at the networks of 11 Alive, and was fortunate enough to have been hired for that. And from day one, walking back in with a group of very passionate people who, again, are far brighter than I am and know more about this business and care about it intensely, is so much different than working with private equity people that not really care about serving the public. So this has been a joy.
Talk about today's television world versus days gone by.
So people say, well, no one watches live television anymore. Well, I mean, that's kind of a misnomer. About 1/3 of all programming, television programming that's watched now is delayed, is off of a DVR. So that's change. And I view that as a great positive. Before, people would say, boy, did you see that show last night? And say, no, I missed it. But they either have it on DVR or they can watch it on demand. The second part of that, though, is digital. And to me, social media is God's gift to broadcasting. I know on any given day that more people are going to consume our content online and on demand than they're ever going to do live. And when you think about it, that's awesome.
Talk about the best advice you've received over the years, because I'm sure you, like I, constantly get advice.
Yeah, it's when I had the opportunity to get my first general manager's job. I was working for a gentleman who, I was his right-hand person. And when he was asked if he thought I was ready to take on this next assignment, he, without hesitation, said, absolutely. He pushed me out the door when I never once given it a second thought. But that has always stuck with me, because he did for me what was the right thing for my career, and because he knew I could do it. But more importantly, he didn't put himself in that whole equation. So I've been very fortunate over my career of having given 11 people their first general manager's jobs. And I think as one ages, that's our takeaway, that's our legacy, is how many people have you helped get to where they want to go.
John Deushane's enthusiasm for both his position and his employees appears to be producing some notable results. At this year's Emmy Awards, the station racked up a record 69 nominations and 28 wins, more than any other Atlanta station combined. It also received 6 regional Edward R. Murrow Awards, one of which was for overall station excellence. Patrick Crosby counts down the top businesses owned by women when we come back, and find out which Georgia residents are counted among the richest in America. Don't go away. Atlanta Business Chronicles Biz will return.